Hi everyone, it's Peter Schiff. It is Monday, March 28th, 2011. Well, unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties today at SchiffRadio.com. We had to play a best of episode. AT&T had some problems with the dedicated line that we use to do the radio show. Hopefully, all of it got straightened out, and we will have another live episode tomorrow. But in the meantime, I figured I'd share some words with you on the video blog. I know it's been a while since I did my last one. I was traveling quite a bit, but I am back home now. Anyway, I want to talk first about the economic data that we got out today on personal income and spending for the month of February. Now, the good news, at least the way the media spins it, is that personal spending was up. It was up 0.7%. That's actually more than I think the 0.4% that had been the consensus forecast. Well, why is it good news that Americans spent more money, especially since a lot of us are broke? A lot of Americans have lost all their home equity. Many of us are unemployed or are potentially in danger of losing a job. A lot of Americans have a lot of credit card debt, auto loans, mortgage debt, student loans. What we really lack in this country is savings. So the fact that we spent more money, I think it's hardly something that we should celebrate, especially when you look at the numbers that the reason we spent more money was because the savings rate dropped rather sharply because incomes for the month of February only rose by, I think it was 0.3%. So the additional spending came because we reduced our savings rather than that we increased our incomes. And in fact, if you look at the growth in our incomes in February, it was actually less than even the government admits was the increase in the cost of living during the month. So in other words, despite a real drop in incomes, Americans spent more, not less. And I think the reason that Americans are spending more is because it costs them more to eat. It costs them more to heat their homes or drive their cars. That's really where the additional spending is coming from. It's reflecting a rise in cost of living. I think Americans are spending money they'd rather not spend. They'd probably rather save a little bit more money, but unfortunately the decision is between saving and eating, and they're choosing eating. But where is all this inflation coming from? It is coming from the Federal Reserve, and even if you look at the numbers that they reported today, you can see an acceleration in even the rates of increase in the cost of living that the government reports. And I think that rate of increase is going to accelerate, particularly if you think about what the Federal Reserve is doing. And along those lines, when they reported the personal income and expenditure numbers on CNBC today, I happened to be watching it, and there was an exchange between Stephen Leisman, who is the chief economist at CNBC, and Rick Santelli, who I like, who has been twice now a guest on the Schiff Radio show. But when they reported the numbers, there was an exchange, as often there is, between Rick Santelli and Steve Leisman. And Steve Leisman actually started to make fun of people who believe that the U.S. government is going to have difficulty paying its bills, that we face some kind of a sovereign debt crisis or credit crisis because our debts are too large and we can't pay them. And Steve Leisman said, well, that just reflects a complete lack of understanding on the people who are making these arguments, because of course we can pay our bills, we can print money, we have a printing press, we'll print the money, no problem, nothing to worry about. Well, Steve, that is exactly what we're worried about. The fact of the matter is, I know that the government has a printing press, and I'm counting on them using it. That's the problem. I think that not paying is better than printing. I think creating inflation to pay your bills is worse than admitting that you can't pay them and restructuring your debt. That is the real worry. And as people around the world tune into CNBC and they start to be reminded of this attitude that, hey, who cares how much money we borrow because we can always print money to pay it back. That is going to send shivers through American creditors who own dollars, who are not going to be heartened by the idea that they're going to get paid back with monopoly money, because that's what happens when you pay your bills with a printing press. And the fact that the chief economist on CNBC thinks this is a good thing, is happy about it, just shows you how poor the understanding is in the mainstream media of inflation and debt and the problems to an economy from a Federal Reserve monetizing debt.